We've got a different kind of video today, guys. We're talking about YouTube sponsorships, content creation, and sticking to your guns. It's not really a Pokemon-centered video. I'm pulling a page out of Rudy from Alpha Investments book where I just put on a comfy, throw a folding chair, and talk to you guys about the world outside of Pokemon, but still kind of related. So we're starting off with this bike, the Yasol G1M Plus, and you might be thinking, oh no, this is a sponsorship. Brian's sold out. No, quite the opposite, young Timmy. So this bike was actually offered to me by the brand. This is like an off-brand Peloton. Still $500 though, or $900 if you're an MSRP gang member. And they reached out to me and they said, hey, we know a lot of your audience is, 20 to 30-year-old males. We think that they'd be interested in this collaboration. Could you do a 30-second ad talking about this in some fun way? We'll give it to you for free and we'll give you some affiliate links, blah, blah, blah. And I'm reading this offer from this sponsor and I'm thinking, oh, I could do something creative. Ash stole Misty's bike in like the first episode. I could do kind of a spoof on that. I could, whatever. I had like kind of a plan. And you know what happened? I never actually got the bike because a couple days after I received that email, I created this masterpiece and I will show to you my favorite part.
Peace, feeling gloom, it's time to watch some tunes. Turn on incognito, Google search Lily, cause we know if you had a favorite rule, it'd be 34. Misty, Dawn, Marnie, Iris, or maybe something freaky like God of War. Shit, that's the door. Guess it.
Now, if that part wasn't bad enough, I proceed to call this man's beard of the pubic variety.
Crazy eyes, Violet Banner, weirdo, pubic beard bro, Marshall Mathers of Costco.
Not exactly advertiser friendly. This was a really fun saga, and I'm gonna talk more about this if you guys missed this whole thing. But before we get to that, I just want to say this ruined any opportunity I had to work with this nice fake bike company. They actually decided to go a different direction. No relation to those rap videos, surely. And I was like, oh, I get it. That makes sense. And by the way, my behavior in videos has cost me other sponsorships as well. Not this expensive. That $500 bike would have been a little bit nice, but I've had sponsorship offers from companies you've probably heard of that are kind of relevant to Pokemon, but they wanted certain specifications in the video. No cursing, no blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you know what? I'm just not interested in any sort of censorship or behavioral change for the sake of a product or money. And this is going to sound like a random person to bring up here, but Cool Trainer Ryan, I don't think he has any idea of what he said and how it impacted me. He might not even remember the stream, but me, him, Rob Does Pokemon, and a bunch of other people went live, I don't even know, several months ago. And it was like a 4-hour live stream, super entertaining. It's been taken down since then. But one just statement he made at some point to me specifically was never apologize. Never apologize. He said that. And this, we go back. This is a big saga, but we're cool. And I was like, huh. And it really stuck with me. His point was stick to your guns and be proud of what you do. And that one statement really changed the trajectory of my channel for the worst for some people and for the better for others. I mean, look at this cringy rap battle I did, which was full of tons of profanities, inappropriateness, pettiness, and pure childish immaturity. Look at the like to dislike ratio on this thing. Yes, I liked my own video. No, I'm not going to apologize. There is 0 dislikes on this. This right here is evident that if you have an idea and you think it's funny or good, sometimes it's good just to stick with it, even if you miss out on an off-brand Peloton. Now, this off-brand Peloton and Cool Trainer Ryan actually weren't the reason I made this video. The reason I made this video was kind of for a different subject, but I wanted to kind of Rudy from Alpha Investments, the sucker, and just have a conversation with you guys. If you're familiar with Tai Lopez, I've actually done several little meme videos of him before. He's the guy that's like, here in my garage, I got my Lamborghini.
Here in my garage, just bought this new Lamborghini here.
The knowledge guy.
Knowledge. In fact,
it was actually one of the most viewed paid YouTube ads in history. It's got 72 million views, and this is an ad. So if you don't know who this is, this part of the video is going to be kind of irrelevant to you, but I'd say anyone in the business world of the internet, anyone that followed the gurus, anyone that pays for courses or considered paying for courses, anyone familiar with like the Andrew Tate side of things, I think a lot of people in my audience probably know who this is. So me and Tai actually go way back. No, I'm just kidding. But we did actually speak a couple of times, and he invited me to a mansion party. I don't think it's a mansion he owned, but he kind of made it out to be that he owned it. I think it was a lease. Regardless, I was invited, big air quotes here, huge air quotes, I'll get to why, to this mansion party. And I was like, oh, well, that's nice. You watch my content. That's awesome. Blah, blah, blah. Now, after I talked to Tai's people, so to speak, I went through a couple forums and whatnot. I received this. This is apparently what an invitation to a mansion party looks like in 2025 if you're friends with Tai Lopez. You need to pay a deposit of $697. And this specific one was to get on his podcast as a guest, but it was the same type of form for this mansion party. Basically, this particular form involves, hey, if you want to be a guest on Tai Lopez's podcast, it's going to cost you money. And I actually went through this form out of pure curiosity because he's a big YouTuber. And I was like, oh, I wonder how that works. So after you pay the deposit, you go through a bunch of BS, you talk to somebody, and then in the end, last I checked, which was about 6 months ago, it costs $15,000 to get on this man's podcast as a guest. And I'm actually really glad that Tai invited me to this mansion party and to be a guest on his podcast because it showed me how the world of the internet and business actually works. I went down a few rabbit holes and I realized that a lot of the podcasts you guys watch, it's just going to apply to business people. This isn't going to be like a Pokemon collector group. If you run a business or you're interested in this, you'll know what I'm talking about. Very niche video. If you're in the world of business content on YouTube, you have your favorite people, your Joe Rogans of business. And I'm not going to list names other than Tai Lopez here, but you know who I'm talking about. And they have business guests on their podcast all the time. Well, it turns out a lot of the time, those guests, the people invited to the mansion parties of the podcast, they are actually paying to be there. That might be obvious to some people, but I was actually a little bit surprised. I thought, oh, Tai Lopez, really cool 10 years ago, kind of lame now, not as interesting. I sell Pokemon cards as a full-time job. I'm not super rich or whatever, but it would be interesting to his young audience. I'm like, oh, it's a win-win for both of us. Nope. He wants $15,000. Turns out that's the system for a lot of these. A lot of the people you see on the, CNBC money type shows similar to that come on and talk good about a specific product or service or fund, a lot of times those people are paying to be there. It's all fake. Big surprise, right? As a quick disclaimer, this does not apply to the Iced Coffee Hour, which is one of my favorite podcasts of all time. Those people do not pay to be there. I enjoy that show. Graham Stephan, get me on that sucker, please. Now, after realizing that half the shit on the internet was fake, just through this rabbit hole and blah, 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 I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? $15,000 to be on a podcast that could potentially be seen by millions of people. And the cross-section between Tai Lopez viewers, 20 to 30-year-old males, matches my audience. Pokemon card collectors, investors, business people, etc. So I did think about it just a teeny tiny bit, but my gut told me no. My gut told me Tai Lopez, probably a sketchy guy. And this right here was my motivation tonight to make this video. Buyers of Radio Shack, Pier 1 Imports, and other brands accused of running a $112 million Ponzi scheme. That's Tai Lopez's company. Tai Lopez got sued by the SEC for a $100 million Ponzi scheme. Even CoffeeZilla talked about it, which is never a channel you want to be talked about on. And seeing all this transpire over the past 48 hours made me really happy that I did not work with Tai Lopez. Probably as happy as fake Peloton not working with me, who makes rap songs about cloisters and Rule 34. It's all the same. But this story about Tai Lopez not working with me and me not being able to work for fake Peloton made me remember a few other little tidbits that I thought would be interesting for this general ramble video. And that is, be very careful who you work for, because there's actually been 2 other occasions where I could have been involved with something very unsavory in the Pokemon card market. I was younger back then. I had less money. My YouTube channel wasn't as big. I didn't have the same level of influence, but I was big enough to be approached by a certain group of people. And I need to be very careful with how I say this and how I word this. There will be some people who don't understand at all. There will be some people who know exactly what I'm talking about, but I may or may not have been asked to be part of something that was quite devastating in the Pokemon card collectibles world. That's all I should probably say, realistically, because the details don't actually matter. I was in rooms with folks that did some things that were unsavory, and I could have very well been a part of that and probably made a lot of money on that in the short term. But something, I don't know what it was, I'm not religious, but divine intervention from our Lord Arceus perhaps, something told me, hey, probably just stick with your gut and don't get involved with that. And so I did. I just, it's like, yo, that sounds dope. I love it, but it's not for me. I'm just going to stick with doing what I do. I regretted it for a little bit. There was a few months that went by where I saw the money coming in and I was like, maybe that would have been okay. That wouldn't have been so bad. But then shit hit the fan. Shit hit the fan hard. And now I look back and go, that would have been bad. And here I am making rap songs again about cloisters getting wet in Rule 34. And my business is better than ever. 5 million in sales in the past year, a nice house, good profit, great YouTube relationships with some of my favorite people in the industry. And I realized, I'm really glad that I stayed independent because there are things as a content creator, especially when you hit 25,000 subs, that seems to be a magic number. That's when you start getting offers, about 25,000 subs. When you hit 50,000 subs, you get very interesting and tempting offers. And the best part about being your own independent content creator, whether it's in Pokemon business or otherwise, is you truly are your own boss. It is a brilliant, wonderful thing. And I really exercised that ability today, actually. I was reached out by a guy, totally good dude. He is a vending machine Pokemon salesman. He sells Pokemon vending machines for businesses. He's kind of the middleman between China and us. Has a great affiliate program for content creators, from what I understand. Gives good discounts to content creators. Seems to be a great guy. I told him, no, I'm not interested. Because if shit hits the fan, if he decides to pull a Ponzi scheme like Tai Lopez, I don't want to be associated with that. I really don't think he seems like a fantastic guy. But what I've realized is when you're making content, you have to draw a line in the sand. And that line should be deep. You shouldn't be like, oh, well, I'll make an exception for this company or this guy because he was nice to me, or this is more money, or this is more pertinent to my business. I think, personally, it's just my personal opinion, it's just good to draw a line and stick on one side of it. And it's something I'm personally working on as a content creator myself. I've already simped for Rudy, I think, twice in this video, but I'm going to do it one more time, I swear to God. He has a policy on his channel where he never takes sponsorships. His channel is 100% run by ad revenue and his Patreon. He charges like $15 a month to patrons. They get some stuff. He gets their guaranteed income. That's it. He's made it clear for the past 10 years that he'll never do a sponsorship. I think that's brilliant. And the reason for that is why my content lately has been so unhinged. I've learned that I can do whatever I want. Cool Trainer Ryan mixed with Rudy, and honestly, Opossum Bud is one of the most based YouTube creators out there who I really, really have been appreciating lately. He's called me out a couple of times over the years, and I always bounced. I'm like, yeah, that was justified. And you can be friends with him, and he can still call you out and even murder you. And it's just part of the deal. That's a tangent, though. What I've learned is my outrageously unhinged content lately, including these rap battles with some random guy who thought that would help his public image for whatever reason. There's nothing more powerful and redeeming than just being able to turn on a camera and saying and doing whatever you want, even if it means losing sponsorships like fake Peloton, or even losing customers or subscribers. There were a couple of videos I made where people are like, I'm unsubscribing. And I'm like, you know what? That's awesome. That is fantastic. I am so happy for you. I commented back to one guy and I said, you know what is the most liberating feeling? Not giving a shit. about losing business. Pokemon in particular, the hobby is so strong that you could lose 100% of your audience and get an audience just as large within the next year, and it's like nothing ever happened. And I told the guy, I'm like, I could lose 50% of my customers tomorrow, and I'd still be making 6 figures a year. I'd still be making YouTube videos that get 10,000 views. And that's not to flex, it's that there's such a giant market out there. And, trying to pander, I hear pander a lot on YouTube lately, trying to pander to people for their subscription, for their image when they're selling off-brand Pelotons, for their podcast, if I want to be on Tai Lopez podcast, trying to pander to people for anything, for their money, for their sales, for their anything. It's just not how I want to run a business. I really like being independent. And another video that inspired this particular video that you're watching is very completely random, but I'm gonna play it regardless because again, we're going conversational mode on this video. This is gonna be the most random video, but I promise this directly inspired what we're talking about today. So this is basically like the MTV Cribs of today. It's called Rock Feed is the channel. He's taking a tour through Tech Nine's compound. Tech Nine does not have a house. He has a whole ass compound, and I'm going to keep it on mute, but like he literally just bought a plaza and he has like 4 different buildings. One of them he does like merch. One of them is his studio. One of them is like a residential piece. And then one of them, he just has like a shitload of cars. Oh, he also owns a car wash on his compound that's publicly facing. So if you want to get your car washed at Tech Nine's compound, you can do that. Where is it? Right here. It's called The Wash. So if you don't know a lot about rap, Tech Nine is, I would say, arguably the most successful independent rapper of all time. He is not on any sort of label, which means he's not owned by anybody. Labels, Universal Music Group, Shady Records, there's a million of them. He is his own independent artist. I think Macklemore might be or might have been. Logic, maybe. There's a few. There's a handful. But Tech Nine is definitely the most successful. He's like 50 years old. He's worth tens of millions of dollars. He has a compound of different buildings and his own YouTube channel, his own merch. He does everything independently. There was never a label that instructed him to release a certain amount of albums, certain songs, certain features, certain language, certain anything. He's always done it independently. And as someone that's had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Tech Nine at a couple Collecticons, actually, he goes to all the Kansas City Collecticons. He's from KC, Missouri. I realized, that is a great life. There is something to be said about independence and just choosing to do whatever you want, in the words of Cool Trainer Ryan, without apologizing, without saying I'm sorry, without trying to worry about, being marketable, without having to worry about being advertiser friendly. Now, on the flip side of that coin, you decide you want to be independent, do say whatever you want, work with whoever you want, blah, blah, blah. Well, you've got to accept the consequences of those actions. And as you grow a YouTube channel or a business, you will find that there are consequences to certain actions. I lost an off-brand Peloton bike. I am absolutely crushed by this realization that I could have had a $500 bike for free. On a more serious note, say I decided to partner up with Mr. Tai Lopez, who, again, allegedly scammed people of $112 million. That wouldn't really be great for my brand. Say I got involved with that certain unsavory group of people in a certain unsavory Pokemon situation. That wouldn't have been good for my brand. Some of the people associated with this situation stopped doing Instagram altogether. They just shut down their account, turned off DMs, basically vanished. And they'll no doubt come back. They always come back. But that would have sucked. That would have sucked pretty bad. If you want to be a YouTuber in the Pokemon space or otherwise, due diligence is good. And if you can't do due diligence, if there's not enough information out there for you, your gut is usually pretty spot on. And honestly, 10, 15 minutes into this video, that's all I really wanted to say. I just wanted to kind of give you guys my perspective as a PokeTuber in this crazy world, as a business owner in this crazy world, because there's a lot of you guys who do strive to be, where a lot of your favorite YouTubers are, whether it's Nomics or Opossum Bud or CTR or Kira or Pokey Office or Rock Sandy or Mimic Brew, or I watch a lot of people. I watch a ton of people. A lot of you guys strive to be one of those people, maybe me. A lot of you guys strive to have a business, whether it be ripping ships, vending, your own independent site like pokeany.com, for example. And I think if you work hard, you might get to where you want to be a lot faster than you think. There's never been a time where you could grow a YouTube channel faster than right now. You've got people who have only been in this game for a year that have 15,000 plus subscribers. Team Rocket Joey, I've clowned on him before, but what he's done is impressive. He's gotten to 15,000 subs, maybe more, in 6 months of regular uploads. Kira, same deal. She's got around that many, maybe more. Just started out. Nomics, he's been around for a little bit longer than them, but he's got north of 30 now. At Pokey Office, relatively new. He's got about 15,000 subs. It's like these people are not Danny Phantom, Leonhard, or PokeRev. They haven't been doing this for years. They've just kind of started out. And they might very well be very intelligent thinkers. I'm sure they don't need my help in making decisions. I'm not saying any of them do. But when you blow up as fast as they did, it's very easy to be tempted by certain things, as I was. And so, hopefully if you're an aspiring content creator or a young business, you look at every opportunity and go, is that really going to help me in the future? Because there's a good chance that you're better off just staying independent and being alone. There's a very good chance you're better off without the $500 off-brand Peloton. And you're better off just speaking your truth, making immature rap songs, hating on A, B, C, and D, and just being able to do and say whatever you want. Because that's the best part about owning your own business, is just it's doing whatever the hell you want and making shitloads of money, ideally. That's all I got to say. Kind of a random ramble video. To be honest, I wanted to knock a video out before 2 a.m. Central Time because in 6 minutes, Amazon Prime's Gen V episode 4 or 5 comes out. And I'm really into that. I like the Boys series. Gen V is like the high school or college of the Boys universe. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something. And let me know if you like these rambles without any sort of script outline or knowledge beforehand, because they're fun to make. I'll throw a folding chair on my next one if it gets enough likes. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.